Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to Owen Texas Football. Welcome back to the Winning Drive. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by another lifetime Longhorn, but he's also a national champion, our own Marcus Myers. Appreciate him joining us here as he does each and every Thursday. Also, thankful that you guys are joining us for this Thursday night edition of the Winning Drive. Of course, we're not going to bury the lead. We're talking about Texas, Georgia, breaking it down from every angle. We're going to slap it up, flip it, and rub it down, all right, to make sure we hit it from every different side. So don't worry about that. We're also going to talk about the availability report, the latest availability report for the Longhorns, which is as good as it gets. It don't get no better. We'll dive into that as well. But your questions, your comments, whatever you guys want to talk about, super chats, always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat. How you feeling about the Texas-Georgia matchup just a few days before these two heavyweights face off again? All right, Marcus, before we dive into the availability report, what are your thoughts, man? How you feeling right now about the tech? I know you've been studying it,
Yeah, I've been looking, man. I mean, like you see, man, thank you, Matthew, for bringing up the report. It's pretty cool to see that there's nothing on it, so the guys took really good advantage of the bye week. I've been, trying to dive in a lot this week. I've actually spent a lot of time listening to a lot of like the Georgia coverage just to get a sense of, kind of how they're feeling about the game. And so we can certainly get into that. I see Alan in the chat. Yeah, you got Marcus after darkest, and I'm ready to go, man. I got my backpack. I leave out first thing in the morning. We'll be around tomorrow afternoon for the show at Batika with Bobby and CJ. Live there with the Texas X's, and so it should be a good weekend, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm feeling pretty good about it. As good as one could, right? Like I think it's going to be a really competitive game, and certainly something we can talk about throughout the show.
That injury report, obviously the availability report for Texas, like I said, it doesn't get better than that. So you will have Michael Taft back with the secondary, Jelani McDonald, who was in concussion protocol last week as well in the bye week. Getting those guys back is huge because one of the kind of glaring issues that's recently been, I think, exposed for the Texas defense has been the secondary. And one of the things that I have been worried about, everybody talked about the Georgia run game, which is the run game for them is stout. It's the identity, definitely, of the offense. But Gunnar Stockton's playing really good football. He's definitely the kind of the best quarterback in the SEC that nobody talks enough about. They just don't talk about how many plays Gunnar Stockton has made and how much he has evolved into being an actual quarterback. So I got a couple of stats for you about Gunnar Stockton as we get into it, just so you get the kind of over some context, all right, about how he's playing and why I, as a member of the secondary, was worried. But now you're getting Taft back, you're getting Jelani McDonald back. You'll have the healthiest secondary you've had probably since the Ohio State game. Because remember, Malik Muhammad missed that Florida game, and I think all Longhorn fans missed Malik Muhammad at that time because you could have used him in that Florida game. And then you obviously Michael Taft was out for the last couple of games, and it was clear that Michael Taft's impact was never. I think we all kind of saw what that loss and that void was like, not having that master communicator on the back end. So now you have those guys back. I mean, it's been 3 games, I think, against Power 4 opponents where you've had the full complement of a healthy secondary. That's good news. But here's the Gunnar Stockton notes that I came up with because he's playing some really high-level football. Versus SEC opponents, just SEC opponents, period. He is first in completion percentage, has 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, the most touchdowns, second fewest interceptions among that group. He's first in QBR among just versus SEC opposing quarterbacks. If you're looking at him against ranked opponents, he also is unbelievable versus ranked opponents. Second, if you look at SEC quarterbacks, right, versus ranked opponents overall, second in touchdown to interception ratio. He also leads SEC quarterbacks in total QBR. First in completion percentage of unranked opponents, number 3 in yards per attempt. He's actually the 4th highest graded quarterback since week 7 for Pro Football Focus. So he's balling. And we'll see if that Texas secondary, because the whole point of this game plan for Texas defense will be stop the run, make Gunnar Stockton beat you.
Yeah, and one of the other things that came out of the injury report, Rod, is prior to tonight they had Lawson Lucky, their tight end, on there as probable. I don't know if you saw that game last week, but he got rocked.
He got rocked. Saw that.
And luckily made a sound recovery, so he went from probable to not even on the injury report. And then DeMelo Jones, one of their top DBs, was on there as probable as well, and he's no longer on the report. So for the most part, it looks like everybody that was expected to play is going to play in this game. I think the guys that are out for Georgia were already known to be out, but to your point, Rod, it's really interesting as you come into this game that the strength of Georgia's team this year is their offense, which is a bit counterintuitive and not necessarily what we've known Georgia teams to be in the past. But make no mistake about it, Kirby's going to have the defense primed up as well, especially with that crowd at their back. So man, I'm looking forward to it. But you're right, man. Gunnar Stockton has been playing really stellar ball and able to distribute it, especially with them having their top tight end back, that opens up the possibility for a number of even 3 tight end sets. Man, they got a 6'7" kid that they love. He's a monster. To the point where they're actually saying, like, they always kind of make the adage of when God was dishing out portions for tight end, they gave a whole lot to Brock Bowers. There are people saying in that program that there's a chance they may have given even more. He may have given even more to Elias Williams. May not necessarily have the same skill set entirely, but to be 6'7", true freshman, and able to make some impact in that manner, that'll be certainly something to watch for as our defense takes the field.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, but I didn't like the research, and I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, that you got to be wary of what tight ends have done to Texas recently. The last 3 games, tight ends against Texas, 31 targets, 74% completion percentage targeting tight ends. And this is based on Pro Football Focus numbers. They have them with 8. Yes, they got them with 20 first downs or touchdowns, 20 first downs or touchdowns. Among that group. That's a lot of productivity from the tight end position. And this may be the best group of tight ends you've faced among the teams you faced in the last 4 games. So something to be worried of, my man. Obviously, Marcus is doing his homework because both of us a little paranoid about them tight ends. And I saw that true freshman. He don't move like he 260. They got him at 255, 260, 6'6", 6'7". He does not move like that, man.
They know what they're doing when it comes to tight end position. That's something that they've recruited well and that they, full on implement into their offense. So it'll be interesting how they even approach the game because, as you know, Rod, they've gotten more dynamic on the outside than they've, been in the past. You got a guy like Zachariah Branch, who I think in like the past couple of games, he started out pretty slow. So when you look at his numbers, they're fairly modest, but they use him kind of as that extension of the run game as well. I think of these last 2 to 3 games, he's been averaging like 8 targets or something like that a game.
He's trying to get him involved. Yeah, he picked it up. And he's I love my favorite stat about him is his average depth of target is 3 right now. Yeah. This is 3.3 yards or something.
Right.
So your point about him being an extension of the running game is freaky. 80% of his receiving yards are yards after the catch. Since we're talking about Yakariah, which is what they call him, Yakariah. This is something to keep in mind because, and I'm going to give credit to the folks who came up with it. I believe it is the Dog Report. They want to crunch the numbers, so I appreciate their hard work. They looked at receivers on third down, like Georgia's receivers on third down, period. How about this? If you look at Zachariah Branch, he's got 21. They got him with 21 targets on third down for Georgia this season. That's a third of all the third down targets.
Mm-hmm.
Third of all the third down targets with him. If you just look at him and what's their favorite tight end? Look at him and Bell, basically. Him and Dylan Bell, just kind of throw them into the category. Basically, over 40% of their third down targets are going to go to those 2 guys, Dylan Bell, Zachariah Branch. So on third downs, I would play kind of situation. I'd double certain players or I'd take away certain players. It's clear Gunnar Stockton's looking for a Zachariah on third down. take him away on
get him
third.
the ball in space and make a guy do something, right? Or even with this speed, threaten and see if you can get a penalty called. So they have that's what's interesting about their offense. The more you dive into it, is like they have a lot of different solutions to any number of different types of problems. I think sometimes that's why they're starting slow, because they do have a number of ways to attack you. So they kind of try to, figure out a bit of, okay, how are you going to be playing this? And then they start to pick up steam once they've had a chance to make some adjustments. I would even point out too, their fan base, we can be tough on our coaches. Their fan base over the years has been pretty, rough on Bobo, but to see what he's done with this offense this year and the way in which he has them performing, we hadn't even started talking about the running backs yet.
No,
it's impressive, to see how he's going about it. But at the end of the day, man, it's, good on good in that respect, where our best unit against theirs, when you think about their offense and our defense. So I'm excited to see if the guys, are able to step to the occasion.
No, to make the game plan is simple for Texas defense. You got to neutralize and stop that Georgia run game, and you got to make Gunnar Stockton beat you. But even that ain't no guarantee, because Gunnar Stockton's been playing really good football. But this will be the best test that he's faced. Gunnar Stockton hadn't faced a defense this good either. That's why I like Texas' chances in that matchup. And getting to the point before we get to some super chats about Gunnar Stockton, a little stat for you. If you go, he's third right now in total QBR. I think overall, he's, like I said, having a really good season. But on passes thrown under 15 yards downfield, if you go look at it, his completion percentage, 79%. And that's a lot of his productivity. Yeah. He's only at 36%, which actually ranked 108th in the country on passes longer than 15 yards, completion percentage. You want to get him in a predictable passing situation, and you got to get him behind the chains where he's got to throw the football and throw it down the field, and not just throw it to Zachariah Banch at 3.3 yards average depth of target, and then him get 6-7 yards after the catch. Right. So if you can do those two things, then you're already going to be in an advantageous position. But that's a Herculean task, stopping Georgia's run game, which we will talk about. I'm acting like that's an easy thing to do. It ain't easy, but that is a Texas strength. Their rush defense is the real deal. That's one of the best in the country. It's the back end that's been exposed a little bit recently. All right, let's thank our first sponsor, and then we'll dive into some of these super chats. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane first, and then we'll dive right into your questions and super chats. Thank you very much to our friends over at Von Lane. Really appreciate them being a part of the On Texas football family. We know there's a lot of things to do this fall. You got places to be. You got Texas football games to get to. You got NFL games to get to. You got to go see family for the holidays. You got concerts happening all over the place. Why waste hours at the airport? And these days, you do not want to be at the airport. TSA is a mess these days with the government shutdown. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be stuck behind the wheel either. You don't want to deal with traffic and road rage. No, leave it to our friends at Von Lane, the most luxurious way to travel. You just walk into a hotel terminal. You check in within minutes, and you're on board. No TSA, no hassle. You settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats. You stretch out, recline, and enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi snacks and drinks. And if you want a beer or cocktail, that's easy. My friends at Von Lane have you covered, and travel is now open through December. So book your travel right now for game days, concerts, Thanksgiving, Christmas trips, holidays. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. I've taken it myself several times for business and to visit family. My wife is taking it. Our friends over at Third and Longhorn, now they're big fans of Von Lane because OTF, when we did our little Texas tour with them, we had to show them the best way to travel, all right, to any major city in Texas, and it's with our friends at Von Lane. So now my friends at Third and Longhorn, they love it too. They're using it, and you will as well. Thank you very much to Von Lane. All right, let's hit the super chats. CB. Appreciate CB, my man CB, always giving out great content and always keeping, I think, some of these types of thoughts top of mind. And we appreciate you, CB. Says prayers out to Tony Jeffrey. Today is the 21st anniversary of his game when he touched down at Kansas and the famous VY 4th and 18 Superman scramble. Get well soon. Thank you, CB. Like I said, CB's always kind of keeping us on task. Even when we get distracted with some other things. Yeah, we heard the news earlier. Shout out to my man Chance Mock. I think he might be the first one who put it out there that Tony Jeffrey suffered a severe stroke. Yeah. there's obviously we don't have all the details. I do not have all the details. If I get more stuff, I will let you guys know. I'm planning on reaching out as well. But if you do want to help, there is a GoFundMe. I believe my man
dropped it in chat. Yep.
Oh, Matt's already ahead of us. So yeah, please, if you want to help out Tony in any way, please, you can just give to the GoFundMe. And like I said, I'll try to get more details. Marcus will try to get more details as well. But that's very unfortunate. I'm sad to hear the news, devastated actually, to hear the news about my teammate and just a great human being as well. I can vouch for that, my man Tony Jeffrey. Good people. Oh, I mean, it's probably been a few years since I talked to Tony Jeffrey, but last time I talked to him, man, he was doing well. So I was blown away by it, shocked by it actually. So thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
Yeah, man, just constant reminder of, just any number of things happen, in this world. As much as we love this sport, both of us had an opportunity to play with Tony, and that's kind of what brought us together. And so we maintained that brotherhood over the years, and certainly continue to, keep him and his family in our thoughts and prayers. And know if anybody can beat it, it's TJ. So,
yeah, no doubt. And I will make sure, like I said, I'll try to reach out and find. I just found out, and I said it was kind of devastating news, but glad my man Chance Mock threw that out there. And like I said, the GoFundMe is there as well if you want to try to contribute and help out wherever you can. All right. Thank you, CB. Appreciate you, man. Always with the righteous thoughts. For our Longhorn family. All right, Brooke here with the super chat says, what is it really like coming back from injury psychologically? Thank you, Brooke, for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't know, Marcus. What's the most serious injury you had?
Mine, I played with the torn labrum and didn't get it fixed till after I graduated. Probably like MCL. And I think anything like knee related tends to just be knee, lower extremity related, tends to just be your confidence in it, right? Because, in the time that you're not playing, the muscles around it start to atrophy. And so you got to spend a lot of time doing that rehab and feeling confident that you can be you again. And then, somebody falling on it and it not, re-injuring and that kind of thing. When it's something like a hand and that kind of thing, it's not, I think, as much of a psychological thing, because it's more just at that point typically about like pain tolerance and just, how well you can, guide it or guard it rather. So, I think it just kind of depends on the injury and the person. In my experience, the lower extremity ones seem to be the ones that have kind of the bigger psychological effect. But they got great medical teams at all these places now. I know we certainly did, and they still do. And so, with the advances in medicine and a number of things, you have a really good shot at bouncing back, but there's still just that, time that you're away from doing what you love. If it's a serious injury, you're not traveling with the team more times than not. So it can kind of mess with your head, but that's what you have your teammates and, whatever your village looks like as a player, your family and friends that you can rely on.
Yeah, that's the most important part. I didn't deal with a lot of injuries at Texas, but I assumed it would have been easier to deal with them psychologically because you are immersed in like the culture with your family. You live with all the guys, you go to eat with all the guys, you go out with all the guys, of course you practice, you work out. So your family is constantly around you. So you do have that support system that that depression doesn't set in, because that's what, once you're, obviously, when the game is taken away from you for a while like that, and your identity is just so wrapped up in football, and you take that away for a while, and then the possibility, realistic possibility that, hey man, maybe this injury could deter my career. Maybe it, changes the way I am as a player. Maybe I'm not the same, but some guys got to deal with that. Like, maybe I'm not going to be the same player psychologically, but I think the distance from the game, that's the most, I think, troubling part psychologically. And it's easier to handle, like I said, in college, because at least the distance from the game doesn't mean distance from the family and the team. Right. Because now if you obviously got your family at home, that's your family at home. But you think of the team as a family, you spend so much time with them all the time. That's why they try to, coaches bring their wives and family around. And then at one point they encourage you when you're in the NFL, like, hey, we need to do some stuff for you to bring your family around with the wives and the families to hang out together a little bit, because you're around that team so much. It's almost unhealthy to totally kind of sever the lifestyles and be totally separate. So I think psychologically in the NFL, when I was dealing with injury, it was devastating.
Yeah, devastating. I can imagine.
I didn't have the support system. I didn't have family around me. You're away from your actual family too. It was just psychologically, it was brutal to deal with. And that's what I would encourage you guys. Like, hey, if you can go talk to a therapist or a sports psychologist about, like, go. I'm sure every team has them now, like professional. Texas has them. Every major program has sports psychologists, sports and therapists. Guys should go talk to them when they're dealing with injuries, but especially in the league. When the league is tough, because the league is also cutthroat.
Yeah, it's a business. It's next man up. That day you hurt, they're changing your injury status. They're bringing somebody else in. Yeah.
You watching that waiver wire, you're like, they brought in a cornerback. I thought they said, well, look, man, they jump you down to that injury report. And then once you're injured, once you're going to IR, then they take some money out of your pocket. I think your pay gets like cut in half when you go to the IR and everything like that. So it's a business. So you feel that part of it too. And you're thinking like, oh man, this is my family. It's like, nah, not really. Nah, this is your job, man. You need, and so I think college and pro are very different dealing with injury psychologically. Brooke, straight up. For me anyway. That was a really good question. It is. And in the NFL, I didn't deal with any. I had a high ankle sprain in college, and that's about it. I think that's all I really had. I had a high ankle sprain that took me out for like one spring. But in the NFL, 3 shoulder surgeries. I had a hammy when I first got to the league. Mm-hmm. The league was, man, I don't think I ever had a year in the league where I didn't have to deal with an injury. Yeah. All right. Good question there. All right. Getting back to it. The Railroad Cowboy. Thank you for the super chat. Says, Rod, personal question for you. What is your relationship to CB, former teammates, classmates, or do you just know each other from the Twitter sphere? No, me and CB go way back. I started doing sports radio in Austin when I first got done with the league, probably like 2009, 2008, somewhere around there. And CB was like one of the first people that like would like listen to me on the radio and like reach out and actually, converse. And he actually kind of, so that to me, that we kind of established a relationship. And then as I grew on Twitter and got social media, CB already had a presence there. And CB's always been like the unofficial historian too of social media. Like he remembers all the dates. Like, and he would not only be, he would watch listen to the shows, and I think he'd watch them later, but he would contribute. Like we'd be talking about a topic and we'd be like, what year was that when I got that PBU on the goal line, and CB would like send it to us. It's like, boom. Like, yeah, it was 2003. Like, whoa, that's crazy. And so he was basically, I don't even know why CB, I don't even know why he would help us out like that, but he was doing work for us, essentially. And we appreciate it. And he did it for like all the shows.
Yeah.
And so all the shows would appreciate, and everybody, I think I gave him the nickname CB, and everybody from then on, we would just appreciate it, because in radio and stuff like that, I mean, info and data and intel is everything. Yeah. So, I mean, you really have a producer in the studio that sends you that kind of stuff. Like Matthew does that for us. Like we'll be talking about something, Matthew will text us, hey, or he'll put it on the screen immediately while we're talking about it, real time. Most people have no idea how tough that job is, because he's doing 3-4 other things too. And I was trying to listen to the show. So CB would like help us out, and it would be great. And we, like I said, everybody, I think, appreciates the birthday shout outs because they're consistent. With I'm about all the Longhorns. I don't even know what database he has with all the birthdays. I have no idea. Or how he keeps up with all different stories on Twitter. He can hit you up with a story from 7-8 years ago that somebody wrote about some Longhorn. He's just got skill like that. So I've never met him like in person. I've met his people actually. Yeah, I met CB's people. I've met sophisticated Celia and sister. I've met his people, but I haven't necessarily met CB yet. I've always said I think CB is like a Craig Way burner account. I think it's Craig Way, because otherwise he's one of the most knowledgeable Longhorn fans that I've ever interacted with. Yeah. We got to get CB on the show. Like I said, CB could just be AI before AI got invented. I have no idea. I've never met her personally, but I do feel a personal connection to my man CB, because ever since I started doing radio and any type of media stuff, CB's always been a fan. So I appreciate all you guys. Anybody that listens to the stuff that I say and the intel that I throw out there. I appreciate it. It means a lot. So that's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But good question, Railroad Cowboy. It does seem like oh man, him and C. Are they cousins? Are they kinfolk? Nah. We are actually, because we Longhorn family. So I think all y'all like kinfolk. Yeah. Chat CBT. Yeah, exactly. I feel like he is like sometimes. Go look at his Twitter, go look at his Twitter timeline. He's up at like 4, 5 in the morning and it's like, oh, I'm like, see me just it's pop culture too. Don't just think it's football. You're on there, you can learn about television shows from the 80s and all kind of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? My man's dialed in. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. Ladarian Watson, thank you for the super chat. Says Rod B, do you think PK will implement a similar defense like Ohio State game plan to contain Branch as they did Jeremiah Smith? I don't think they're the same kind of threat. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Marcus? They're not the same kind of receiver. You just need to tackle Zachariah Branch in space, which I said that's easier.
Yeah, it's not easy. Honestly, the one I'm more worried about a bit is what's the big fella? Is it Noah Thomas? The one that transferred from A&M? Is that
he's big, the big, yes.
Yeah, I'm curious how they do some of the matchups depending on where they are.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't really have a ton of concern on Manny's side, but whoever is out there on the opposite end, that's the person. If I'm Georgia, I'm trying to attack. And so whether that's, getting Branch in space or getting the big guy on him, that would be a bit of more of my concern, but I don't think it'll be any kind of like box one safety over the top, bracketed coverage on them at all times, because they're just different types of receivers. He's not he's a game changer, but he's not that dominant that you have to mirror him in that particular way. So
and I think Texas, honestly, the issue for Texas is on defense. I've talked about this. Is that the DBs aren't making enough plays on the ball. Like they're giving up. I mean, they get beat a lot. That just happens. They got 1 PBU in the last 2 games, and they faced 80 pass attempts. I think almost 750 yards allowed. Like I said, I'm not judging those guys because I don't want CD pulling up some film of Rod B getting beat and burnt over the top. But I think they got to make more plays on the football. And that's to me is the biggest concern. And I think in this game, I'd like to see the DBs make some plays on the ball. You got to be close to the catch point to do that. They play, a lot of cushion. They play a lot of zone coverage over the top. I went and looked at this is the route that probably is the most concerning. And I don't know how much of this Georgia's going to run, but I guarantee they're going to run it, and they're probably going to run it on critical downs, the crossing routes. And it makes sense. If Texas runs a lot of zone coverage, that means cornerbacks are butts and backs pretty much to the sideline, all right? And they're playing outside leverage a lot of the time, so they can see and have vision on the quarterback, vision on number 1, vision on number 2, and so they can read all their keys and go through their progressions. And the safeties, I think Texas plays a lot of single high, so that safety is really deep too. And even in the slot, Texas will play off coverage in the slot too. They're not really aggressive there, and that's fine, but Texas, when they play that zone coverage, I'd like them to be more aggressive in matching the crossing routes. Right. So when they play pattern match, I think that's what's happening. And it's also a combination of linebackers aren't getting enough depth, but I'm not going to blame the linebackers too much for it, but it is a group effort. They can get more depth and the corners can have better leverage and they can match quicker on those crossing routes, because crossing routes on third downs against Texas, on money downs, period. Money downs, you're talking about over a 50% conversion rate if you target a crossing route against the Texas defense on third down or on fourth down.
And conversely, Georgia's offense is really good at converting third downs.
Yeah. And I guarantee they're going to start running some crossing routes and some mesh, because the film, it stands out like, oh, what the hell? Why can't they stop the crossing route on a critical third down? That's going to come up, guarantee, especially with Zachariah and all the tight ends you just brought up earlier too.
Right.
So that works a little bit. And there's a curl route issue for Texas. I would say powerful quarterbacks averaging nearly 12 yards per attempt throwing or targeting curl routes against Texas. That ain't good either. No. And then there's the quick game issue where quarterbacks are Texas doesn't read the quick game. They just react to it. So they react to it, which is why they're late sometimes coming up to make the tackle on a quick slant or a quick hitch or a quick out. we would start to read the quick game. Then you read the 3-step drop. And then if you're in zone coverage, obviously you go from the quarterback in 3-step. You got to get your read to your number 2 receiver or get to your number 3 and make sure you read your progression. If you're in man coverage, you go from quarterback to number 1, right back to your guy. So for Texas, they don't. I don't know what they're being taught. I'm not going to say they're not being taught it, but on film they don't read the quick. They don't read the 3-step or the quick game. They kind of go through their progressions, but they don't read the quick game. Last year, Jadae Barron was reading quick game constantly. He was jumping routes. You can go watch him. Like he's jumping routes for the on the number 2 receiver. Because he's reading quick games. His vision was so
good. He's peeling off of his guy.
Yeah, so these guys don't read the quick game. So maybe they're being taught that. My point is they would be closer to some of those quick hitches and quick slants if they read the quick game. Because they're retreating. But when you start reading the quick game, once that quarterback pops up, you would stop your retreat, and then it would bring you closer to the catch point. Yeah. Right now, they're reacting so slow. They're still retreating by the time the quarterback lets the ball go. By that time, the receiver's already reacted, coming back to the football. He can catch and run. He needs to be catching that football and needs to be tackled right then. Because if you don't do that, Zachariah Branch about to be Yakariah. If you don't start tackling that quick game, they're going to go all day on that. If you 8 yards off and you're retreating quickly, they're going to pitch and catch that.
Yep. And dare you to tackle them.
Dare you to tackle them, which hadn't worked out that well recently.
Right.
So just saying that hopefully in the bye week, that's something they worked on. All right, let's thank one more sponsor. I know we got super chats. We're going to get to them. Let's thank our friend over at Bingham's Bourbon. That's right, folks. We appreciate our friend Ryan Bingham. Actually, he's an Oscar and award-winning artist, Ryan Bingham. Appreciate him being a part of the Owen Texas football family for years. Ryan turned down offers to just put his name on any bottle. He instead insisted that he wanted a bourbon he could be proud of, one that stayed true to his Texas roots and where the music comes from. That's why he built Bingham's from the ground up, a Texas certified whiskey made with 100% Texas grown grains, distilled and aged in the searing Texas climate for a bold, unmistakable flavor. From the hands of local Texas farmers to the barrel to the glass, every drop is a tribute to the land, the craft, and the people who shape it. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon, available now across the great state of Texas. And you can find details at binghamspirits.com. That's binghamspirits.com. All right, back to the super chats. Lane, thank you, Lane, for the super chat. Says, according to Film Guy, Georgia Homer. I like Film Guy, by the way. Brooks, I believe his name. Yeah, I heard. I saw your little comment. Your comment.
Yeah, too. Man, he was wrong on a couple things, dog. I like him, but I had to get him together a little bit. That's all.
No, you're right though, because I watched the video you comment on, and you were right. He didn't know about he was unsure about the O-line changes that Texas has made and some other things. So. I like you set him straight, but the Film Guy is really good stuff.
He does really good work.
Say according to Film Guy, Georgia Homer, 75% of Stockton's passes are between the hashes. How big is this game for our linebackers? Oh, I don't want to hear that. I did not want to hear that.
I was gonna say, does Lane want this conversation to take a turn here? Because both of us have some thoughts, I think.
Well, that worries me just because of the linebackers and the crossing routes I just mentioned. The linebackers, and I literally just mentioned linebackers and crossing routes, and I believe most of those end up between the hashes. Sure. The tight ends, crossing routes, and Texas linebackers not dropping back enough. And Texas linebackers going to be even more aggressive in this game. Why? Because they got to stop a really good running attack. So play action and RPO will be a little bit more effective, I think, in this game than it has been for the Texas linebackers. So, yeah, big game for the linebackers, Lane. I'm with you.
Now, I will say, having Taft back, right? He's out for 2 games. So that, he's your general back there, right? Was it 2 or 3 games he missed? Was it 2?
Kentucky game was his last game, right? Played in the Kentucky game, I thought. Yeah.
So Mississippi State and Vandy, right?
He had a bye week. So
getting him back is going to help a ton, at least in terms of helping to make sure guys are in the right place, looking for certain things. As challenging as it was without him, I think that does kind of help callous the guys that were in there and having to figure it out, even if they were, having some struggles. So the hope is that, some of that additional experience that they gained and then having him back, even along with Jelani as well, because he missed a substantial part of that Vanderbilt game, right? I think that helps to shore a lot of it up and be able to communicate with those backers a bit more. That being said, though, they still have to make sure that they're getting enough depth on their drops, that, they're to your point, they're kind of pattern matching as things are crossing their face. They're over communicating. And And the challenge in, a different environment like that is, trying to make sure that you're picking it up quick enough. And I'll be interested to see, again, how early and often does Bobo mix up some of the personnel groupings to force us to have to match some of that, right? And so that's kind of that chess match, game within the game, if you will, of, how does, he go about attacking a PK defense, and then what is PK's counter?
I think he's going to go with some rollouts and bootlegs pretty early on in the game, because Texas struggled with that versus Vanderbilt. So I think you'll get some of that. Definitely talked about the crossing routes early on. You brought up tight ends. I gave you the story about Texas, dealing with a lot of targets to tight ends lately, because I think teams kind of understand that's one of the vulnerabilities in the Texas defense. And so I think you're going to get tight ends early on, rollouts early on, quick game and crossing routes. But that's just from the passing game. Running game, I mean, Georgia, I think they do everything pretty well in the running game.
And they got a good stable, man. Like they go a good 3-4 deep to where they can constantly keep those guys fresh. So they, like I said, they have the more I looked at this game, I am really impressed by their offense. But again, they're going up against our strength, which is our defense as well. So it'll be an interesting match, to see how we go about attacking them. And I don't know if this is something I probably should do more too, Rod. I know we track a lot of our stuff, but going into games like this, like I'd be curious, what is Gunnar Stockton's like release time, kind of on average, like how quickly is he getting the ball out in some of these scenarios, that kind of thing, to see, how much time you have to get that pass rush home. I know that they do, have some really solid old linemen, but some of them are young, and they're playing really well, but more times than not, that's been in the run game. You got an Ethan Burke over there that's hovering over that right tackle. That's no slouch in his own right, so
2.67 seconds is his average time to throw on the season. Last week was 2.55. Think about it. Archie's fastest time to throw this season was 2.5 seconds, and this dude's at 2.5 seconds, pretty close to average. Like that's just what he at. So he gets rid of the football.
Yeah, he gets rid of it. So again, I guess that's something for as fans are watching the game. I'm not saying that we can't get pressure, right? But I wouldn't be overly frustrated if you don't see us piling up sacks, because the whole point is for him to get the ball out quick, right? And so they got quick reads. They're not doing a ton of 5-7 step drops or anything like that. Like they don't have a ton of slow developing plays that they're relying on, which makes it that much harder. So then it's can you impact some of the passing lanes, get your hands up to potentially bat down a ball, or kind of mess with the receiver's vision. But to that, it wouldn't be out of bounds or out of question if we did struggle to get to the quarterback. Now, can you move him off the spot some? Can you get some pressure up the middle? There's different ways you can go about it. But when you hear that somebody's getting the ball out that quickly, it limits your opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nobody's talked about that actually, Marcus. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but that is an issue if you're talking about generating enough of a pass rush where you can force him into making some ill-advised decisions that balls out quick. But he stayed ahead of schedule all season long. It's probably why he's thrown only 2 interceptions all season long too. Hasn't been rattled, and he will scramble. He will just tuck it and run if he needs to. And he's pretty good at that. All right, Rod Babers' helmet. You know what, Rod Babers? Oh no, I gotta turn. I got. Hold on, we don't have a Rod Babers helmet. Oh. Then I got to put it on for you, Rod Babers helmet. I usually only do it when we get big time super chats, but that's love right there. That's love. All right, say, can we not play the cornerbacks outside the stadium from the wide receivers? Looks like we just got a commitment from a 2026 tight end. Yes.
Oh, yeah. The flip.
Yes. Yep. For those, and I believe there will be a video coming up here on OTF. Actually, I know. There will be a video coming up here on OTF after we get done. Actually, we're going to post a video. It might already be up. I don't know. Matthew's doing like 10 things at one time. Yeah. But Jerry and Bobby are going to break down this latest commitment for the Longhorns in the 2026 class. Charlie Gillick. I believe that's how you say his name. And if I mispronounce it, I apologize about that. He was committed to Minnesota and flipped his commit from Minnesota to Texas. 6'5", 225. Yep. So there you go. From
guys will have to fill you in because Rod and I know nothing about this one. We were just as surprised as anybody else, and we're talking a bit before the show. But Jerry and Bobby are working on a video Has a frame that's, pretty similar to some past tight ends. I think, I've seen some folks in the chat kind of relating them similar to Gunnar Helm. If you can get that type of production, I'm all here for it. So,
damn, we miss Gunnar Helm. I ain't gonna lie, I miss Gunnar Helm, man. But the Texas, no, I like him. This is not a knock on the Texas tight end team,
right?
But it's just for some reason the 12 personnel hasn't really worked out this season, and Jack Andrews, who I really like Jack Andrews. You guys know that. I mean, I was talking about Jack Andrews all off season with the impact he was going to have. He hasn't had that impact just yet. And by the way, I ain't blaming him for it.
Correct.
I'm not blaming him for it. I think the offensive identity issues of Texas, them trying to kind of reinvent themselves mid-season, figuring out who they want to be, has really kind of hurt his, because everybody's finding out what their role is on the team. Right, the wide receivers that figured out what their role is. Yeah. But they just figured that out like in the last 2 games. I still think that Jack Andrews doesn't really know his role on the team yet. It's weird, like within the identity of this offense, because they just figured it out. So, but either way, my point is the tight end, it has not had, the position overall has not had the impact this season it has had in recent years, period.
And part of that, honestly, Rod, I don't have the numbers on this. I'm sure this is something you may have somewhere, but part of it, at least to the naked eye, seems a bit like he's been asked to have to stay in a little bit more because of some of the offensive line issues. So whether that's chipping or some delayed releases, and we've talked before about some of the issues Arch has had and hitting them at different points in which he was wide open, that kind of thing earlier in the season. So, but you're right, it just hadn't gotten rolling the same way. But I don't attribute that necessarily to his talent or his preparation or anything like that. It's just what this team has had to become versus what we thought it was going to be and maybe what Sark wanted it to be.
Exactly, and that's why in this game, kind of going back to it, 11 personnel is your baby. Don't get out of it very often. Right. All your big plays you made against against Georgia were in 11 personnel. Hell, probably in Alabama too, if I go back and look at it. But in the Georgia game, they were mostly in 11 personnel. And part of your new offensive recipe is 11 personnel. Feature your wide receivers. That's the strength of your offense right now is wide receivers. That's where your matchup advantage lies, even against Georgia. You have, I think, a matchup advantage with the wide receivers against their DBs. All right, before we continue, let's thank our friends over at Culligan. Before we dive into some more super chats, we appreciate our friends at Culligan now being a part of the On Texas football family as well. When it comes to the water your family drinks and uses every day, you don't want to cut corners. Why would you? That's why for over 90 years, people have trusted Culligan. And here in Austin, actually, Culligan Ultra Pure has been serving the community for more than 60 years. Culligan Ultra Pure provides high-quality residential water treatment at an affordable price, including reverse osmosis systems, water softeners, and UV purification lights. Whether your water comes from a well or a municipal source, Culligan has the perfect treatment solution for you and your home and your family, more importantly. And right now, you can schedule a free water test and save up to $600 when you mention On Texas Football. Culligan Ultra Pure proudly serves Austin, Corpus Christi, Victoria, Brownwood, Pampa, Plainview as well. So don't wait. Call Culligan today, Culligan Ultra Pure today at 512-339-2378. Actually, ask for Michael over at Culligan. All right, that's right. Ask for Michael over at Culligan, and he will hook you up. You'll get that free water test. Just reach out to them at 512-339-2378. That's 512-339-2378, and ask for Michael over at Culligan. Better water starts with Culligan. Thank you very much to our friends at Culligan. And let's get back to the super chats here. This one's from Sean. Says if Texas beats Georgia on Saturday, CB comes on the show. Hey, CB, you might have to do it, man. Come on, we got good mojo. For real. I like that, Sean. I like that because I can say this. I feel 50-50 about this game at this point. I feel 50-50. I will say I picked Georgia preseason. I picked Georgia, we made our predictions. Hell, I've been wrong a lot this year. So hopefully that's the case again. But right now it's about trust with me. And I'm not saying Texas won't be trustworthy this season, but I feel like Georgia, you can trust what they're doing a little bit more. And that's why, I still haven't totally swung that Texas is going to win the game. I do feel like they can, because this Georgia is not a powerhouse Georgia team. The Georgia fans will tell you this is the worst Georgia team. They say it's the worst Georgia team Kirby Smart has had. They keep saying that. I'm like, really? They're like, it's the worst way he's had. It's terrible. I'm like, I think y'all just looking at the defense. They don't know if it's the worst way he's had. But they complain about this team a lot. And the slow starts, the inconsistency offensively. That's why Mississippi State was their best offense they had all season long. So they complain about it a lot. So I know it's not the powerhouse product it's been in recent years, but that's how good Georgia is. They still got a chance to win the SEC and everything, even with.
And as much as a lot of that is, Rod, they're playing their best ball now, right? Yeah. At least their best brand of ball that they've played all season. And so the other side of that is, yeah, they feel that way. But then when it comes to us, they still look at us like, hey, you the new kid on the block. And until you show us otherwise, we're going to treat you that way. So, it's funny, if you look where, when Matthew and the guys put out on Twitter, kind of, all right, everybody give your score predictions. You magically see all these Georgia fans pop up, and there's a whole bunch of 2 and 3 score disparities to Georgia's end of things. And I was kind of, cheating last night, and I had one eye on CJ and Jeff and Amanda, and then I was listening to Film Guys live one. And towards the end of the show, he said, he's had some calls for some coaches around the league this week that thinks Georgia wins by 2 scores. So it's one of those deals where, from their vantage point, and I think even some of our fans, right, look at it as, until you prove it to me, it's hard for me to see how you get there. But again, like you mentioned, Rod, like there's ways that they can be had, and I think we have some opportunities. It's just where I think my biggest concerns start to kind of come in is, where is our success in the run game? Because if you do make yourself extremely one-dimensional, that's the things that a Kirby, smart defense will eat up.
Yeah.
And so you got to find a way to have just enough success. I'm not saying we got to go out there and rush for 200 yards, but you have to have something that keeps them, a little off balance and gives, us an opportunity to have a more cohesive attack.
Yeah, you got to be a pass first team. We know that. That's what part of your formula is, pass first. Against Georgia in the SEC title game, you were 60% early down pass rate. That's first half, first down and second down. But go look at Bama. When Bama beat Georgia, Bama was 55% early down pass rate. Ole Miss played them tight, 60%. You go look at Tennessee. They played them real close, right? Went to overtime. They were 63% early down pass rate. Yeah. You don't attack that beast of a rush defense. You got to soften them up, and you soften them up actually with the passing game. I think Texas has to be pass first, but I'm with you. But I'll go look at all those teams. They didn't run the ball really well. Bama ran for less than 4 yards per carry. Yep. But like you said, they essentially had the running game as a symbolic gesture almost. Like, we're going to throw it in there. Don't forget about the run game, but we're going to make you have to defend the pass, and that's going to open up just enough of the run lanes, just enough of the run game for us. So we'll see. How do you win a game of 3D chess as a one-dimensional offense? That's what Sark's got to figure out. That's why you paid the big bucks. That's what you got to do to beat Kirby Smart. All right. Justin with a super chat. Thank you, Justin. Justin says, did y'all cover the tight end who just committed this evening? What do y'all think? We will think we'll do well Saturday. Love listening to you guys' input as a former player. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that super chat. We did bring up the tight end. Bobby and Jerry are actually going to do a video that'll be posted at OTF either when we're done here on the live stream, or it's probably already posted. I haven't even looked because Matthew's always doing like 10 things at one time. So that'll get you
working on it. He said they're working on
it. So that'll get you caught up on the tight end. I promise you that. But yes, he was a decommitted from Minnesota, Charlie Gilek. I hope I got that right. I probably screwed that up. But he decommitted and 6'5", like 225. Yep. There is some Gunnar Helm comparison, but we probably will compare everybody to Gunnar Helm from now. That was such a great season. But thank you very much. We appreciate that. How will we do Saturday? We were just talking about it. Like I said, I actually do feel like Sark, he came on swinging in the SEC title game. I've rewatched that game now like 3 or 4 times. And I loved his game plan. Like, loved it. Like, I actually, now that I went back and watched it, I loved it. He couldn't run the ball, but he wasn't going to be able to run the ball on that Georgia defense. He knew that. We knew that. And I think he came into that game plan and that game knowing I can't run the ball. What I have to do is I have to win the chess match on money downs. And they were 15% on money downs, 3rd and 4th down in that first matchup, 40% on money downs that second matchup. He figured it out. He figured out I got to use a specific cheat code or multiple cheat codes to beat Kirby Smart and his defense on every third down and every fourth down, because that's where Kirby Smart wins a lot of those battles. You're going to get to third and fourth down, but usually his defense is better prepared. They're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger. They win those third downs and get you off the field. Alabama, I think, was something like 13 of 19 or something on third downs against them. And Sark figured out that's what you got to try to win. And you got to do it without a running it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you win third down? You're going to be in third and long a lot. Just understand, you're going to be in third and medium and third and long a lot, because you're not going to play Canadian football against Kirby Smart. You're not going to get first downs on first and second down. Like, you're going to get to third down. He's going to get you to third down. And when he gets you to third down, what's your plan? You better have your money plays ready to go. In that game, he had some money concepts on third down. All of your big plays came on third down. Your 22-yard reverse whip by DeAndre Moore, third down. 41-yard stalk slant to DeAndre Moore, third down. Your 32-yard double move to Matthew Golden, third down. He pulled out the money concepts on third down. He understood the assignment, and he should do it more in this matchup coming up.
And I'll say, too, just on the offensive end still, you've seen us have some success on third downs. Like, for whatever reason, some of those sideline throws and digs and that kind of thing, like, they're still making it happen, and he has to keep dialing that up. The other way I would answer that super chat question too, Rod, special teams. Think about the difference that made in the SEC championship game. And those are some things he went out and tried to shore up. So you get a kicker that you feel better about.
Yep.
Won't bring up the issues that we had there and what that game could have looked like if we nailed the field goals. You have Ryan Niblett, where they probably try not to kick to him. Well, sometimes when you're now trying to directional punt away from a guy, what if you shank one, right? And so I think there's some opportunities there for us to be more sound than we've been against Georgia in the last couple of games.
Yep. Yeah, it was 13 of 19. Dude, they were dealing on third down. Kalen DeBoer had it, but Kalen DeBoer understood the assignment. You got to dial it up on third down against Kirby, because Kirby going to dial it up against you on third down, on the money downs. I'll give it to you real quick before we finish up super chats here. I went and looked at the conversions Texas had, because you had 8 third down conversions in that game. 7 of the 8 had either target to motion, target to bunch, or what I call an ag beater, basically a double move of some sort. Mm-hmm. Like 70, the only one that wasn't was like a simple slant you ran to Ryan Wingo. The rest of them, they were, like I said, he was dialing it up specifically. Like he had a 4th and 3 with DeAndre Moore. It was a target to motion, a jet whip return. He was dialing it up, man. He was dialing it up. I'm telling you, that's what he's going to do in this game. The bag must be empty when he leaves that stadium. If that bag has anything left in it, Texas loses. Orlando with a super chat said, I get that UGA and A&M are top 5 teams, but Arkansas worries me more with this team.
I'm not worried about Arkansas.
Arkansas's got the best player on the bad team in the country, in my opinion.
And I agree with you, but the key was how you ended it on a bad team. I don't see them walking into DKR and pulling it off. I just don't. I get it. You respect all your opponents. They can put up yards. They can put up some points, but they also make a lot of mistakes. And I just don't see that being a concern, especially no matter how this game goes, knowing that you have to have that next game against Arkansas no matter what. So I'm not personally, out of the remaining 3, the one that concerns me the most is on Saturday. Yeah, and we can save the Arkansas A&M talk for later, but again, I respect my opponent. Those don't bother me. It's this one on Saturday.
I agree with Marcus, because the A&M thing is weird because these guys know those guys. Mm-hmm. And so the intimidation factor is not what A&M thinks it's going to be in that game, even though they're going to come in undefeated, all that. And they beat them last year. Yeah. So they're not going to have the aura with Texas, their rival. They got it probably with everybody else right now. Like, man, A&M's like, Texas is going to still look at them and treat them like, nah, y'all still Aggies to us. Y'all know
and if anything, man, like that pressure's on them now, right? They've been Texas 8-4 for however many years. This is the first time they've kind of been in that catbird seat. Now you got to come, play against Daddy.
Exactly. Texas they're gonna play free, relaxed in that game.
Man. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about the next 2. It's this one on Saturday. Take care of this one on Saturday.
This one has more of the mystique, the aura. This is a Ric Flair. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. Georgia's the man. Kirby Smart seems to have Sark's number. Sark can't beat big time coaches. Can't beat Kellen DeBoer. Can't beat Ryan Day. And this is Kirby Smart. Oh, I got to give you a stat real quickly before we move on. Under Kirby Smart, Georgia 8-0 versus top 10 teams in Athens. They've covered all of but one of those games. So they're 7-1 covering the spread there too. Texas has been an underdog 8 times under Sark. The Longhorns have pulled just one of the upsets, and that's the Alabama one. Claims here.
Amen.
That's from Chris Fallica.
It's a good time to start switching up that trend. I remember when we went into Alabama at that Monday morning press conference, Sark was spitting out all day stats. And this past Monday, he was spitting out all their stats and how great they've been at home. Somebody got to break it. And it's already happened once this season, so it's not impossible. But you're right, Rod. Your play caller and your QB, they got to be nails.
No question. All right. Lane with a super chat here says, Rod, can you expand on the ag beater idea? How does Georgia deploy their aggression and what can we do to mitigate it? Yeah, I mean, Georgia's just aggressive no matter what. They're going to be even more aggressive if they want to get pressure because they can't get organic pressure this year. They're outside the hot 120s in sacks and tackles for loss. So they got to blitz those second-level linebackers, or they got to bring pressure from the second level with those linebackers to generate any type of pass rush. Now, they can do it with simulated pressures, end up dropping one of those guys, only sending 4, or blitzing and actually sending 5. But either way, they got to be aggressive to get pressure on Arch this season. And they play a lot of man coverage down the stretch. Sometimes you can tell Kirby just goes, F it, we're playing man. And they play press man, too. They'll get up in your face and play press man. Not like Texas plays man and play, oh, no, they won't get up in your face and play press man. So just and Kirby's aggressive. Kirby Smart, he's an aggressive head coach. He's an aggressive play caller. And I think he wants his coaches to mimic that. But here, that's why the one thing Sark learned, the biggest lesson Sark learned in that first half, basically the first game, my slow developing stuff ain't gonna work. So don't use it versus Kirby's guys. Don't use it. Yo, Sark screen, those slow develop, that outside zone that takes forever to hit. No, if you're gonna hit the outside zone, you better hit it differently. You better change the angle of the running back or something because that ain't gonna work. It is slow developing because they're so aggressive. They're fast flow, they're quick keyed, they're well prepared. So when they see something that they have been prepped for on film, they trigger quickly. They go right now. That's okay. That's actually what makes them good. Also, you can use it against them, and Sark did brilliantly. Remember in the second half of the first game, how they scored their first touchdown? They scored on Corn Dog. Remember Corn Dog? That's the play that Andy Reid scored on the touchdown. You go motion, zigzag motion, so you can lose that DB. And as soon as that DB tries to bite on that motion because he thinks you're going jet motion, boom, you beat them out to the corner. They scored on that touchdown. That's first little ag beater. Actually, it wasn't the first one. They ran a double move with Matthew Golden. You remember in that second half of that first game, got a double move on the outside, and they got him on that one too. And so Sark learned in the second matchup, I got to come out with ag beaters. Your first third down with DeAndre Moore, you ran a reverse whip. And what did that corner do for Georgia? He bit like an SOB. He tried to cut off that outside cut and that out route. I mean, he tried to jump it, and so he tried to jump it. Boom, we saw DeAndre Moore reverse back inside, 22-yard gain. And think about it. So a lot of your best plays were all ag beaters. You had a 22-yard reverse whip against them on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 14, 32-yard double move by Matthew Golden, 3rd and 3, 41-yard stalk slant touchdown by DeAndre Moore. You had a 4th and 2. You had to convert in money time late in that game, and you went with a jet reverse whip, basically kind of it's a jet motion, and then you reverse it back out to get the 5-yard completion and convert that with DeAndre Moore. So a lot of your big plays were what I call ag beaters, using their aggression against them. And I think you can come up with a lot more creative ones. They tried to get Helm on a stalk block and go early in the game. Remember, it was an offensive pass on, I think it was Bond, if I'm not mistaken. And so they missed that opportunity. So in all, I counted 7 ag beaters, throw the penalty out. I counted 7 plays that I categorized as ag beaters, 15 yards per attempt. 15 yards per attempt. Just throwing it out there. Yeah. And by the way, on third downs, 3 of 3 on third downs, 4 of 4 all the way on money downs, 3rd and 4th down. 100% conversion rate on 3rd and 4th down. Come on, man. Thank you, Lane. All right, Jeff with a super chat here. I think that we need a pretty good performance from the offensive line, and Arch has to be great to win all 3 remaining games.
I think Arch is getting very comfortable with what's being called, and I think Sark is doing a better job of the timing of the plays, setting him up with plays that are, ones that he can be confident in. So you can kind of see that confidence growing. And he's just, beginning to mature kind of right in front of our eyes. I keep talking about one of the most impressive plays I saw in the Vanderbilt game was when he rolled out and ended up dumping it off to CJ, well, Arch 2-3 games ago was tucking that and trying to run it in, probably taking an extra shot that he doesn't need to. I've seen him throw, the ball out of bounds or out of the back of the end zone to protect it for another down. So I only share that to say I don't know if he has to be great, or depending on what, Jeff, you would define great as. I definitely think we need, the offensive line to perform well. I think Arch just has to perform the way he has been these past couple of games and utilizing the weapons around him, not doing too much that gets, him outside of himself, and giving his opportunity, giving his receivers an opportunity to make plays, in stride. Right. And so I think if he does that, really good can be good enough. And again, we'll get to it, but those other two, I'm just not as worried about, man. It's this Georgia beast is the one you got to tame.
Yeah, if Arch ball to win this game, Arch has got to ball out. Let's be honest. Like you ain't gonna win this game.
Absolutely. Against Georgia, you got to. But I think once you do that, your confidence is feeling it. At that point, it's like the NBA. He's on fire, man. Like if he gets out there and is dealing, it's like that's the tide that truly lifts all boats. And at that point, I think you're really off to the races.
I will say this: that short high percentage passing game, the quick passes, 2.5 seconds average time to throw that you have. Really emphasize the last week and like the fourth quarter, I guess the last 5 quarters. I don't know if that'll work consistently versus Georgia. They tackle too well in the open space, and Kirby's not going to let you beat them with one concept all damn game. No. All right, you can beat him with it for a quarter, but Kirby gonna make an adjustment after that, and that's the beauty of it, right? This is gonna be, to me, a game where Sark's gonna have to win the chess match against Kirby Smart, because the way you open this game is gonna be a different way you have to close it, because Kirby's gonna take away something that you're doing really well.
Right? It's always interesting when you talk about the script to open the game. It almost makes me wonder: is there going to be a little bit of a dummy script in there? Because he's had a lot of time to prepare, right? So obviously you're going to open up the game with some of your best plays, but I think Sark is going to have some solutions that he doesn't show early on to see how they're playing, to set them up for some of that stuff. Because to your point, you can't live off that short stuff all game. Kirby's going to have those guys primed up. If you're, telegraphing it, they're going to be able to jump some routes. So, is there something where maybe it's not, a slow developing, but, something that's right behind it, a whole ball, those types of things. To kind of see and test them a bit. But you're right. It's going to be a great game of cat and mouse, and I can't wait to see it.
All right. Landon with a super chat here said explosive plays are the biggest driver of EPA and the number one predictor of who wins. So who wins the explosive play margin this weekend? Thank you, Landon. Great. That's a great point, because of the late, great Bill Walsh, I think it was Finding the Winning Edge, wrote that the second most important stat in football behind turnover margin is explosive play margin. Who wins the explosive play? You win it by one play. I think he said you win the game like 60% of the time. You win it by more than 2 plays, and you win the game 60-70% of the time. This was Bill Walsh's research. Yeah. And he's right about that. Texas last year was the most explosive offense in the country. They're not this year. So where do you get all your explosive plays last year came from the passing game against Georgia. Your only 20+ yard run against Georgia was the Arch Manning scramble 21-yard run out of empty formation in the first game. That's your longest run. You had a 15-yarder from Trey Wisner, but it was on 3rd and 27, and Georgia was like, we don't give a damn if you hand the ball off. Please hand it off. So you ain't had no explosive run. So you think all of your explosive plays coming out of a one-dimensional offense. So like it's going back to that question, how do you win a 3D chess match with a one-dimensional offense? Because that's what Kirby's going to make you have to do.
Yeah. I think that's where, I kind of go back to special teams some. It's like field position is going to matter, especially when we're on offense and you got that crowd that's going to be, hyped up, to the nth degree. So, yeah, man, you're spot on.
I would say this: if you are going to if you want explosive plays, make sure you have a lot of targets to motion, and targets to bunch formation. Targets to bunch formation versus Georgia, almost 10 yards per attempt in the SEC title game, 63% completion percentage, and 18% explosive play rate anytime you targeted closely clustered groups of receivers. On the season, still tracks. On the season versus Power 4 teams, 67%, 10 yards per attempt, 50% third down conversion rate, and a 19% explosive play rate. So targets to bunch, really explosive, targets to motion, and those ag beaters I brought up, those are explosive plays. Your most explosive plays came on those 3 concepts. Yep. So inundate your game plan with them. Right, Jeff. Thanks for the super chat. What are your picks on the Super ABC lineup of games Saturday? Oh, I have not even looked at.
That's OU Bama. Is that right?
Yeah, OU Bama's one.
And then what's the 11 o'clock?
When does that? Yeah, I gotta go look at the
I'll look real quick.
Games. I have not looked at them yet, Jeff. I apologize for that. About that.
I got Bama beating OU because it's in Tuscaloosa, right?
I got Bama beating OU.
Yeah, I got Bama beating OU, and I got the 11 o'clock game is South Carolina A&M.
A&M's winning that one.
Yeah, A&M's winning that game.
That's at A&M.
Yeah, it's in College Station. Yeah, A&M's winning that game. So yeah, I got A&M and Bama.
And Notre Dame, Pitt. I'll take Notre Dame. Even though if Pitt does beat them, that'll help out Texas a little bit. All right, super chat here from Junior Dog says, Rod, have you ever thought of coaching? You have great analysis of football. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have thought about it. When I was younger, I'm old now. I had a couple of offers and I passed on them because I was pursuing some other things. And coaching it's hard. Yeah. Like, it's a hard life. Like, you know that, Mark. You got friends that coach. You start at the bottom and you got to work your way up. I'll admit I probably could, through some connections, skip a couple of levels and make my way. And who knows, that still could be, something in my future. But I enjoy this. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy kind of teaching fans and educating fans. And I think, to me, it's very fulfilling. You got to have that relationship with football, Marcus. You know that. Otherwise, there's this hole in your life, you feel like. And I feel very fulfilled because of you guys.
And this is so much more balanced. To your point, when you're a coach, man, like it's just different, man. Like you said, like Rod Wright, Frank Ocam, I got, one of my buddies is the OC for UTSA. Like I got, different, it with Kyle and any number of guys, like they have to truly like eat, sleep, breathe this. And, the impact it has on your family, it takes a special person to coach at a high level. And I think for somebody like Rod, that dives deep on this, like if you're going to pour into it, you got to give it your all. And then there's a give and take there. Right.
Exactly.
And in the same vein, like I've had friends ask me, have you ever thought about coaching? And like, my answer is always no, just because mine's a bit more elementary. It's more like, I wasn't even one of the knuckleheads on our team. And, I just know how much some of my boys put our coaches through. Right. So I just wouldn't have the patience. Being a coach, it requires a special level of patience because you're a teacher, you're a mentor. For some guys, you're like a second father, like or a first, right? Like it requires a lot. But I think if it is something you wanted to do, bro, I know you can do it well. But I certainly understand the aversion not to, and I get a lot of fulfillment in doing this as well.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think you could coach too, but I feel you about the patience. And now the kids, I think we were better than they are because now they got money.
Yeah, they got money, dog, man. Yeah.
You always were scared, like, man, coach gonna take my scholarship, kick me off the team. Now they don't worry about that. They transfer, they got bread. Like our day was like, man, if I come home, my mama gonna whip my butt if I get kicked out of here. So it's just a different breed. It's
a different animal.
Yeah. Let's thank you, Junior Dogs, for the question. Though that was really good. I appreciate that. Let's thank our final sponsor of the evening, our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, right now, you get employee incentive pricing. That's their fancy way of saying you get the employee discount with our friends at South Point Dodge. That's right. You pay what the employees pay, and you won't find a better deal than that. Score big today at South Point Dodge. Go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com. Get the real deal today at our friends at South Point Dodge. Whether you need a car, truck, trade-in, something new, something used, our friends at South Point Dodge pride themselves on being Austin's automotive everything. So go to southpointdodge.com. All right, 2 more questions real quick, and we'll end things. Cisco says, Rod, do you think the secondary gets lost in coverage against crossing routes? I don't think it's a loss. I think it's a leverage thing. So I think the guys sometimes overemphasize the outside leverage, especially in some situations, in pattern match zones, which is what Texas plays most of. If you're on a single receiver side, you're basically in man coverage anyway. And depending on the split of the number 2 receiver and what the number 2 receiver does in that quarters or that cover 3 pattern match, you're going to end up matching that guy most of the time. Now, if they're in a bunch set or they're close together or in a condensed set or it's a minus split, that changes everything. But a lot of times why it's pattern match, you're going to end up matching that guy. So I think they're a little too, I don't know. I think they overemphasize the outside leverage too much. I would tell these guys sometimes kind of read the formation and the distance, the alignment of the receiver. And based on film study, there are times where you can split that guy right down the middle. Or if you're outside leverage, you can still have your butt to the sideline, back to the sideline, vision open to the quarterback, but almost split that guy right down the middle. Right? Split that and force them. They want to make an NFL throw, especially if you're on the wide side of the field. There's some throws I don't even have to defend as a DB because you can't make it. Now, Arch might be able to make every throw, but every quarterback in college football can't make every throw. Right. So you shouldn't have to defend every route on the route tree, especially when you're on the wide side of the field. So I think let's say if you're on the wide side of the field, guys comes from a crossing route to the short side, then I'm wondering like, hey, what was the leverage on that? Why were you so outside considering the quarterback? Was he going to throw an out route to the wide side of the field like that? He could, but it's going to take all day. And if you can't make a play on that ball, we got a different discussion we need to have.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think they're just they're a little too timid, and I think they're overemphasizing depth and overemphasizing the outside leverage way too much. But like I said, I don't know what they're being taught. Maybe they're being taught, no, you let that go. That's the linebackers. You let that go to the linebackers. But that's not how you play pattern match. At one point, you got to match that guy.
Yeah. At some point, it almost becomes man. So
it becomes man coverage. Yeah. David Keith Williams says, "What is your view about Texas leading the nation in sacks per game, which Longhorn Nation expected this season, but not making the plays on the ball in coverage or intercepting passes?" It's a bit frustrating because as a DB, that's all you want is a pass rush. Usually, a pass rush, the quarterback can only hold the ball for so long. And he's going to be making ill-advised, inaccurate passes because he's going to be trying to get rid of the football and the ball's going, he's going to be under duress.
And we've dropped plenty this year, too. I'd be curious to, tally up how many we've dropped. I know Jelani's dropped at least 2 that would have been pick sixes.
He's dropped a couple, yeah.
So, it is a bit perplexing, but, oddly enough, it hasn't been a ton of passes under duress that we just didn't get our hands on, right? Like more times than not, they're getting the guy to the ground, or batting the ball or something like that. So it's a bit of an interesting conundrum, but I don't know. It kind of goes in line with just some of the challenges that we've talked about in the secondary.
They gotta play more They gotta play situations better too. I mean, when I look at Texas on their third downs, they're allowing on crossing routes. Basically, half the crossing routes Texas has defended versus Power 4 teams have come on third downs. So teams are targeting specific concepts on money downs that work against Texas. So I don't know if Texas is switching to more man coverage on third down, and that's why they're doing it, or if Texas they're bringing more pressure on third downs. That's why Texas is doing it. I'm not really sure. It depends on the down and the distance. Thank you, David Keith Williams, for that.
Man, real quick, I saw Daniel say the name Trung Candidate in the chat. I have not heard that name since the days I used to play NFL 2K. He was a running back for the Rams, but he was fast as hell. He was given a Niblet comp. And I mean, that name literally is probably Trung Candidate. I think he was drafted Rod, what year you came out? You came out in 99?
I came out 99 out of high school, yeah.
I think Trung Candidate was drafted in 2000. So I just kudos to Daniel, ball knower there. Because I ain't
gonna lie, I don't even really remember Trung Candidate that well.
I only remember because I used to use him on NFL 2K because he was fast as hell. So
is it Nibbling Comp? That's okay. Yeah. I appreciate that. Old school. Todd, last question of the night. Thank you for the super chat. Realistically, how could Sark employ Jonah Williams?
Special teams mainly right now.
Well, I think you're right about that. Special teams. And right now they got their safeties back.
Yeah.
All the safeties are healthy now, and that's one of the deepest positions on the roster when it's healthy.
And I posted a video today that it was somebody had posted. Remember Saban went on that rant about how the media and fans always expect the young guys to just deserve an opportunity to play, or they expect that the young guys, well, you got to take somebody off the field, and you have to have had control of the game to put somebody in there that you're not as confident of being in the game. So right now, I think Jonah's, most impact would come on special teams at this point because, like you said, Rob, we got healthy again in the secondary. So, you don't want to put him in a spot that he hadn't really been in just yet.
All right. Thank you for that super chat, Todd. Thank you guys for all the participation. I know we went a little bit long, but it's Texas, Georgia week, baby. So we got to make sure we get it in. Thank you to Matthew, because Matthew's actually doing like 3 jobs behind the scenes while producing this show. So he's probably like, Robbie, wrap it up. So I appreciate Matthew. He's a real MVP. Thank you, Marcus, man. Great stuff as always, brother. Great to have you a part of the OTF family. Everybody keeps telling me what a great addition you've been, and I couldn't agree more.
If you're in Atlanta tomorrow, I'll see y'all at I think it's Botica in Buckhead, Botica. I think they got a thread or something on the site, and I'm sure the guys will post it in the chat again in the morning.
Nice. Great stuff. All right. Thank you, Marcus. Thanks for all the super chats, guys. We really appreciate all of your kindness. So we appreciate that. And thanks for all the questions and your participation. If you missed any of your questions, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning, Bobby and Jerry. And also we'll have your 3 p.m. Friday live stream. And I believe them boys going to be in the ATL. That's going to be a good time. For Marcus and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Beavers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.